At Crimson Lights, Daniel's hoping Tessa can help him. She understands he needs an emotional reset. Daniel doesn't have a choice if he wants to continue to function as a human being and a dad. Losing Heather for a while was hard enough, but forever, that's why he needs to find his way. I'm going to need a little bit of your time, a lot of your patience, and as much of your talent as you can spare. Tessa tries to puzzle this out until Daniel finally tells her he'd like her to teach him how to play the guitar. Daniel explains he's dabbled before. Tessa says it is a commitment. She admits it could help him tune out the noise in his head, but guitar can also break his heart. The journey could be filled with frustration and disappointment. Daniel has already worried about disappointing his mother, Lucy, even Billy Abbott, who he doesn't care about. He's eager and wants to learn, fail, and get better. It's about moving in a forward direction and maybe learning some new things about himself. This could be the thing to get him unstuck creatively. Tessa smiles. I'm in. Tessa asks why Daniel doesn't do this with his dad. Daniel says it would be too much emotional honesty and probably tears with every chord. Tessa jokingly promises to be cold and distant. He says she's his first choice as a teacher. He has a guitar that he would break out every now and then with Heather. Tessa promises he'll always moving forward, and maybe it will unstick him. That's what he needs. After a while, Daniel and Tessa reconvene on the patio with their guitars. She notices that his is expensive. He offers to trade her, but she explains that your guitar is your baby. You can't just swap. Daniel apologizes. He strums his guitar, and it sounds out of tune. Tessa will help. They start going over what strings, frets, and keys. She shows him how to hold his fingers on the strings, and he improves. Tessa plays a little as he watches. Amy and Damien arrive at Nate's place, and she makes her way to the sofa. Nate tells her she's glowing. She explains that Damien drove her around to see the places she used to work and live. Damien teases that she got him lost 3 or 4 times. Amy thanks her son for letting her show him part of her life. Damien says it was a good day. Nate smiles. He's glad they had this time together. He reveals he just got off the phone with Dr. Kelly and has an update on her treatment. Nate asks her some questions about her appetite. Amy says she had enough energy to console a dear friend of hers and to drive around with Damien. Are you going to tell me what the doctor said? Nate nods. Yes, ma'am. He says Dr. Kelly has been pleased with the updates she's been giving her. Her reaction so far makes her a perfect candidate for the treatment center in Boston. Damien says that's amazing. Amy gasps, I'm not sure what this means. Nate tells her it means you have a chance. She cries on Damien's shoulder. Nate warns Amy and Damien not to get ahead of themselves. Amy worries about the cost. Damien will cover it and tells it just to worry about herself. She persists, this is pricey. Damien pleads with her to put that aside. Nate, call her and tell her yes. Amy repeats this. Nate tells her there's a spot open now, but she has to leave for Boston tonight. Amy protests about her time with Damien being cut short. Damien reminds her that if this works out, they'll have a lot more time together. Amy becomes emotional. You want to spend more time with me. Nate says it's her best shot. Amy cries about being away from both of them, and her sweet Audra. At the club, Sally tells Audra about Phyllis hammering away at Billy and snarking at her. She complains that Billy's tying himself in knots to excuse her behavior, and Phyllis is exploiting his sympathy for her own gain. Audra hears her and is on her side, but she's also wondering what about Phyllis threatens her so much. Sally protests. She's not threatened by Phyllis, just annoyed. Audra points out she's been through some dark stuff lately. Sally knows. She should be at a yoga retreat. Billy thinks Abbott Communications need her, but they don't. He doesn't. She's annoyed and nervous. Audra asks, but not threatened. She suggests Sally might be wondering if Phyllis is looking for more from Billy. Sally says he would never fall for her again. He would know better, wouldn't he? Audra assures Sally that Billy wouldn't fall for Phyllis again. She's too toxic. Suddenly, Holden appears at the table and gushes about springtime in Los Angeles, which gets real hot, real fast. Audra says that's why she's happier in Genoa City. He walks off, and Sally tells her friend she's brutal. The mood between them was tense. Audra finds his charm so boring. Sally prods about their past. You're holding back. What really happened between you two? Audra denies there's more to the story. It's ancient history, nothing worth discussing. Sally thinks it's obvious that Holden's feelings are very much in the present. Audra accuses Sally of being jealous of Phyllis. Sally accuses her of trying to change the subject. Audra advises her to play dirty and try to make Phyllis look bad. Do what it takes. Sally hedges, maybe. Giving her advice in return, she suggests she keep Nate away from Holden. Audra says Nate knows where she stands. Sally argues that Holden's not about to give up. Audra says that's his problem, not hers. Sally leaves, with Audra telling her to take her advice about Phyllis and make her proud. Holden rushes over to Audra and asks, "What happened to us being friends?" He wants to buy her a drink. Audra tells Holden he'll have to drink alone. She's swamped with building her own company. He wants to hear about it. She says it's a passion project, fully funded, and close to the heart. Holden is looking for a new opportunity. She asks about his job with Damien. He wants to enjoy what he does and feel there's respect, support, and appreciation. This is as good a time as any to explore new opportunities. Plus, you might need someone like me. He would follow the boss anywhere. Audra will keep that in mind. With that, she sashays out. Phyllis arrives at Billy's place and offers to take her brilliant launch ideas elsewhere after he remarks on seeing her again so soon. They sit, and he admits she made him nervous earlier. She assures him she's all about Abbott communications. Daniel will too. Billy looks away. Yeah, she tells him not to worry. Billy doesn't have to worry, but he does, and you should too. They bicker about Daniel's trauma. She thinks he's suggesting her son is too traumatized to work. She rants that she's been through a kidnapping and is still coming up with brilliant ideas. Don't say that about my son. My son is human. Billy states that her son does not want to be there right now. He's only doing it because of you. Phyllis tries to deny that Daniel took the job because of her. Billy asks, "Are you sure about that?" Phyllis will be by his side every step of the way. Billy warns her about forcing him to take the job. He doesn't want to be there and needs to figure out his own path. You have to let him go. Phyllis tells Billy that he spiraled the last time his life fell apart. She chokes up. I don't want that to happen again. Billy agrees, but from the very beginning he was reluctant to join the company. It took a lot of convincing to get him to come on board. He's doing it because of you. He's doing it for you because he loves you. Show him how much you love him. Let him go do this thing. Billy repeats to Phyllis that she needs to let this thing with Daniel go. Phyllis asks, "What if I say no?" Billy says he'll wish her well. She fumes. You're making me choose between my job and my son. Billy says Daniel's heart isn't in it. She needs to accept that, and she'll be better off too. Sally comes in and learns that Billy's making it clear that she has to let go of the idea of Daniel joining their company, or we'll have to go our separate ways. Billy tells Phyllis that he wants to work with her, but if she keeps trying to convince Daniel to join the team, she'll become a liability. Her head won't be in the game. Phyllis declares that this is ridiculous. She'll have to rethink this partnership. Billy suggests she do that. He wants her on his team, but only on his terms. Phyllis exits. Sally asks, "What on earth did I just walk in on?" At Nate's place, Nate and Damien continue trying to convince Amy to leave for the treatment center in Boston. They'll visit her and blow up her phone. So will Audra. Nate asks if she'll go. Amy will go pack. Damien says he'll charter a flight. They'll go in comfort. He isn't about to fly coach. Amy grins. You're coming with me. Damien confirms it. Nate asks if they have room for one more. Amy cries that she and her son are getting back something they lost a long time ago. Damien says they're getting there. I need you to beat this thing, so we can have time to make that happen. Nate says, that's the plan. Audra arrives and learns that Amy has the shot at a miracle, but is leaving now. Amy tells her she expects plenty of phone calls and maybe a visit or two. Audra says, as soon as I can. She hugs her and Damien and Amy leave. Nate says he'll be right behind them. He tells Audra he's going along to get Amy settled in. I won't be gone long, and I will miss you. She grins, have a safe flight. They kiss. Once alone, Audra pulls out her phone and calls Victor. She asks if the paperwork for her new company is ready to sign. She's excited to get started. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers recap for Wednesday, April 24, reveals that Tracy Abbott will admit to Jack Abbott that Ashley Abbott disappeared from the waiting room and didn't attend her therapy appointment. Ashley went to the restroom and never came back, so Tracy will be concerned about her. Jack will worry that they might have to force Ashley into treatment, but Tracy will be horrified at the thought of committing their sister. Instead, Tracy will suggest they should find Ashley's psychologist friend in Paris, since she might be more comfortable starting therapy with him. After Tracy heads to the GCAC on a mission to find Ashley, she'll bump into Danny Romalotti and catch up briefly. It'll be obvious that something is bothering Tracy, but she won't be able to dive into her family issues too much. When Tracy asks if Danny has seen Ashley, he'll admit he hasn't and offer to help look for her together. Tracy will think she should be on her own when she finds Ashley, but she'll appreciate Danny's friendship and support. In the jazz lounge, Ashley's new Southern alter Aka Bell will order tequila and flirt with the bartender before flirting with the pianist next. Belle will dance around and gush over how much fun she's having as Tracy walks in looking shocked. At Crimson Lights, Daniel Romalotti Jr. will scold Summer Newman for not returning his calls, but she'll quickly offer updates on all the danger Harrison Abbott is in. Daniel will want to do everything he can to support Summer, but she'll eventually get a text and have to leave in a hurry. Next on Wednesday's I and R episode, Kyle Abbott will call Jack with good news since he watched the diner security footage, which allowed him to get the make and model of Jordan's car from the parking lot. After Kyle gives Victor Newman's team info on the car and the disguise Jordan was wearing, he'll head off to search for that vehicle and hope Harrison isn't far. In Jordan's motel room, she'll push Harrison to eat the peanut butter and jelly sandwich she made him since it's that or nothing. Harrison will shove the plate away and send it flying as he calls Jordan a witch. Although Harrison will want to go home to his parents, Jordan will once again insist that his mom and dad don't want him. Harrison will argue that's a lie, but Jordan will be adamant that she's all he's got now. After Jordan listens to Nikki Newman's message, she'll suspect the meeting Nikki suggested is a trap. However, Jordan will eventually determine that she's got all the leverage since she's the only one who knows where Harrison is. Jordan will also like the idea of having Nikki as a hostage instead of this unbearable child, so she'll warn Harrison to stay quiet before heading off to the meeting spot. In the alley, Nikki will call out for Jordan and try to get her to show herself. Victor will end up texting that there's news about Jordan and push Nikki to come home right away. Nikki will give Jordan one last chance to come out, but she'll bolt before Jordan arrives. Once Jordan's in the alley looking for Nikki, Victor will sneak up behind her. After Victor puts a rag over Jordan's mouth to chloroform her, she'll quickly lose consciousness. Back with Kyle, he'll manage to track down the motel room where Jordan stashed Harrison. After Kyle calls out through the door, Harrison will shout back at Daddy to let him know he's inside. Kyle will kick the door in, so he'll rush into Harrison's arms as they enjoy a happy father-son reunion. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the search for Claire Grace will continue, so stick with us for more predictions on all the twists and turns ahead. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, April 23, 2025 are here. In tomorrow's episode, fans can expect Audra Charles to get interrogated. Meanwhile, Billy Abbott breaks boundaries and goes way too far. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the next episode of the CBS soap opera. It is teased that in tomorrow's episode, fans will see Billy go way too far to prove a point. It's made clear that Billy doesn't go too far just because he can or is spiraling. No, it states that he's proving a point. So it sounds like Billy just might take Sally Spectra's suggestion. Sally suggested that Billy let Phyllis Summers go. Now, Phyllis wasn't too pleased that Billy wouldn't get rid of Sally during their conversation. Then, the one time Sally said something, Phyllis totally dismissed her. Billy warned Red, but when has she ever listened to anyone? Of course, Billy proving a point could be related to Aristotle Dumas. Victor Newman now knows that Dumas and Billy made a deal. Victor is baffled by what Dumas would want with someone like Billy. Perhaps it was to draw Victor out. The patriarch has mentioned that he usually has to draw Dumas out. Maybe the whole Abbott Communications deal is just for Dumas to force Victor to make a certain type of move. After all, the root of all this is Chancellor. Speaking of Victor, he made a deal with Audra to divide Kyle Abbott and Claire Grace Newman. Fans know that Claire just told Kyle she would move in with him. Victor isn't going to like this news when he finds out. That would also force Audra to press the turbo button on her scheme. However, Audra faces multiple interrogations this week. First, there was Nate Hastings. Next, it will be Holden Novak. By the end of the week, Audra is confronted by Laylee Winters. Audra has been trying to prove she's not a snake to Nate's loved ones for months. Just when they are starting to consider giving her a chance, she gets hooked in by Victor again. So Lily could make Audra think about the long-term consequences of her alliance, besides the career front, that is. There will also be some news about Amy Lewis cancer treatment. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what is coming up next. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nate Hastings and his brother Damian Kane will get an update on Amy Lewis. Amy recently began new treatments to try and get her cancer under control. Now that Damian and Amy have put their problems behind them, they want to have as much time together as possible. Is Amy's update good news? Nate had no idea that he would grow so close to Amy when she first looked him up. Amy had a story to tell and Nate was shocked. However, Nate listened to Amy's story and grew very close to her as time went on. Amy told Nate about her diagnosis and her has been helping her for months. However, she just recently agreed to treatment. Amy believed there was nothing else that could be done for her. However, Nate had a friend that looked at Amy's records and offered her an option. After being encouraged by both Nate and Damian, Amy finally agreed to see what this doctor has to say and went to Chicago for tests. Amy then agreed to try another form of treatment. Amy had hoped that Nate and Damian would get closer once they met so they would each have someone to learn on. Amy wanted these boys to know they were family and to act like it. Damian and Nate have done just that. It is like Amy has two sons instead of just one now that they are getting along. Amy is very close to Audra Charles as well. Audra is like the daughter Amy never had. Of course, Audra is very fond of her as well. Amy has put herself together a nice little family, and they all hope that she will survive this cancer and be with them for a long time to come. None of them want to lose Amy no matter what. Damian may have found love thanks to his mother luring him to Genoa City. Damian has been enchanted by Laylee Winters since he first laid eyes on her. Laylee and Damian have been dancing around their feelings for some time now. Unfortunately, things keep coming up that makes Lily doubt Damian. Will they ever trust each other? If the news about Amy isn't good, Damien may need someone to lean on, and he certainly hopes that Lily will be there for him. Will Damien get good news about his mother so he can celebrate, or will he and Nate be disappointed in the results? Will Amy be able to beat this cancer, or will they find out that this was all for naught? The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that fans have been buzzing over Aristotle Dumas, as viewers speculate over whether or not Dumas is Tucker McCall or another man that has been on canvas or yet to be introduced into storylines. What if he is actually a she? Here are 3 reasons Aristotle Dumas may actually be a woman. Dumas being a woman would be a massive plot twist. After all, everyone is assuming he's a man, including fans. As there are no online photos pointing to who Dumas really is, Y&R writers could flip viewers and everyone in Genoa City completely upside by revealing that Dumas is a woman. Where have all the female power players in Genoa City gone? Catherine Chancellor used to rule the little town, along with Jill Abbott and Ashley Abbott, but now there aren't many women in the little town calling the shots. Sure, Nikki Newman is running Chancellor. However, the company was given to her by Victor Newman. Over at Newman Enterprise, Victoria Newman is playing second fiddle to her dad. And while Lily Winters is making big moves at Winters, she's not exactly the head honcho there. Wouldn't it be fun if a woman stormed in and got the better of the mustache? Speaking of, wouldn't it be fun if Jill were Aristotle Dumas? Placing the history Victor had mentioned he had with Dumas aside for one moment, Jill had never been a fan of the mustache. If her health issues have gotten better, she may resent or feel bad about signing Chancellor over to Victor. She may be upset at him for kicking her down at a low moment, and she might be looking for revenge. This would make sense as to why Dumas has reached out to Billy Abbott. Could Jill have a plan to vindicate her son and bury his nemesis in the process? For the Thursday, April 24 episode of The Young and the Restless, spoilers photos show Claire at the tack house with balloons and a big smile. But there's more going on than just a celebration. Claire may be preparing them for a major life change. Later, Nikki arrives for a private talk with Victoria, likely tied to Victor's shady dealings and her own quiet attempts to protect Claire. Elsewhere, Audra's on the phone at Crimson Lights, and at the GCAC, Diane drops big news on Jack and Kyle. At the tack house, Victoria greets Cole at the door with a hug and a huge smile. Claire waits in the kitchen, holding a big bunch of colorful balloons. She looks interested in whatever her parents are saying. Cole and Victoria continue hugging, and they talk with Claire. Is she telling them about her plans to move in with Kyle? What are the balloons for? Something they're celebrating? Or perhaps she has them for Harrison. Victoria busies herself in the kitchen while Cole and Claire have a serious conversation. She's holding what looks like a passport. Maybe she will go on a trip before she makes her big move, or maybe it's Cole's and she's looking at where he's been. Victoria joins them, and Cole explains something. Later, Nikki shows up, and she and Victoria are talking alone. It looks serious. Has Nikki made any moves to ensure Victor won't cause issues for Claire and Kyle? Perhaps it has something to do with the secret that Victor's keeping from Nikki. Cole looks like he's heard something that makes him concerned. Meanwhile, on the patio at Crimson Lights, Audra talks on the phone. We bet it has something to do with Victor roping her into breaking up Kyle and Claire. Finally, at the Genoa City Athletic Club, Diane is all smiles as she tells Kyle and Jack something big. It seems like they will finally see the grand reveal of her redecorating the Abbott mansion. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, April 24, are just another day in Genoa City, as Victor tells a whopper, and Claire is surprisingly honest. Maybe too honest. Victor knows best, which means everything Victor does is for the best. Isn't it annoying, though, that not everyone always believes that? That poor, poor man. That's the only reason Victor is ever forced to lie to those who love them. It's for their own good. He's doing it again. He'll explain later. Or, you know what? He doesn't have to explain. He's Victor. Bow down, peasants. Claire told Kyle that she loves him. Now they're moving in together. Everything is perfect. Except the part where Victor hates Kyle and forbids Claire to date him. And every time the subject comes up, he proceeds to give a selection of vague and somewhat hilarious threats. Claire already asked Nikki and Victoria for tips on dealing with Victor. Now she has more questions, and these are for Victoria and Cole. She is totally honest. Is Victor sure Claire is his granddaughter? Diane asked Jack if she could redecorate the Abbott mansion. He wasn't enthused, but now that Ashley and Tracy have left town, Jack is out of backup, so Diane can go crazy. We are a little curious about what Diane had done during all the time that she and Jack lived at the Genoa City Athletic Club. Of course, she is an architect, so perhaps the historical house was in good hands. Today, the Abbott mansion is going to look different. Jack and Kyle prepare for the unveiling. This can't be going where we think. Tessa started giving Daniel guitar lessons on the April 23 episode of The Young and the Restless, and we don't exactly understand why. We realize we're supposed to think it's Tessa's way of being supportive, and Daniel's way of dealing with Heather's death, Lucy's apparent invisibility, and Phyllis' ongoing psychosis. We understand why Tessa and Daniel are doing it, but we don't understand why Y&R is doing it. We realize that in the real world, most people who become friends just stay friends. And we certainly believe that men and women can be friends without it turning into anything romantic. We're big fans of that, but that's not how things work on soaps. On soaps, friendship takes a definite second seat to love. You know who started out as friends? Tessa and Mariah, that's who. And look at them now. Were this a different set of characters, we'd assume Tessa and Daniel suddenly spending 2 consecutive episodes together and making plans for a lot more was a straightforward chemistry. Yes, even if they were with other people. This is a soap. No relationship is forever. Daniel is a recent widower, but Tessa is married to Mariah. They have a baby girl who is as invisible as Daniel's Lucy. They are a happy family. Off-screen, we think. Here is what else we think. There is no way Y&R will break up their only same-sex couple, especially for a man. The blowback would be too severe. So what is the reason for Daniel and Tessa's new pal Dom? Will it turn into a story about how working with Daniel inspires Tessa to go back to performing? Will she yearn to return to the road? Will that cause friction with Mariah? Is Daniel being set up to come between the two women, but not in a romantic way? Are he and Tessa the next Sonny and Cher? Ike and Tina? Donnie and Marie? Give us a hint. Y&R. What is the point of this story? Audra Charles is always playing the long game, and on Wednesday's episode of The Young and the Restless, she made a quiet but power-packed move that could shake up the entire business scene in Genoa City. After spending time helping Amy prepare for her sudden departure to Boston for aggressive cancer treatment, Audra wasted no time pivoting back into power mode. As soon as Nate walked out the door, she picked up the phone and called Victor Newman with one simple message. She's ready to get started. Just like that, we were reminded why Audra is a force to be reckoned with. Victor has always been a master strategist, and pairing up with someone like Audra, sharp, unflinching, and unapologetically ambitious, feels like a match made in corporate heaven. This alliance has the potential to upend everything and everyone, especially as Nate's loyalties continue to shift and Holden hovers around like a storm cloud with unresolved feelings. Let's not forget, Audra's been circling major players for months, waiting for her moment. With her own company in the works, Holden sniffing around for a job, and Nate distracted by personal matters, the timing couldn't be more perfect. And now, with Victor in her corner, she has access to resources, clout, and a whole lot of firepower. If you blinked, you might have missed the significance of that brief call. But fans who have been tracking Audra's every move know exactly how big this could be. Is she lining up to take over Newman Media? build something that challenges it, or maybe she's setting up a brand new empire, one ruthless deal at a time. Emotions ran high in Genoa City as relationships were tested, old wounds reopened, and new paths began to form. The Young and the Restless recap for Wednesday, April 23, sees Daniel turning to Tessa for a creative reset that leads to an unexpected guitar lesson, while Amy receives life-changing news. Elsewhere, Sally vents to Audra about Phyllis's growing presence in Billy's life. Audra spars with Holden over their complicated past, and Phyllis and Billy clash hard over Daniel's future, forcing a dramatic ultimatum. As Amy prepares to leave for Boston, Audra seizes the moment to launch her next big move. At Crimson Lights, Daniel told Tessa he desperately needed an emotional reset. Heather had been his center for so long, but now he was looking for something new to help ground him. He asked Tessa for guitar lessons. After some teasing, she agreed but warned him that learning the guitar could break your heart. That was exactly what Daniel needed. He confessed he'd owned a guitar since childhood, but avoided it because of his rock star dad. He wanted a challenge to push him out of his creative rut. Tessa agreed to be his tough-as-nails teacher, and they started his first lesson right then and there. At the penthouse, Amy beamed after a special day with Damien. They'd visited all her old favorite spots, and she had her first tequila sunrise. Nate showed up. He told them that Dr. Kelly in Boston was impressed by her progress and wanted to begin a holistic, aggressive treatment tonight. Amy was overwhelmed by the suddenness, but Damien and Nate urged her to go. Damien offered to cover the cost and travel with her, and Nate insisted it was her best shot. Tearfully, Amy agreed. Amy prepared to leave for Boston. As she left, Audra showed up and got filled in. She gave Amy a warm goodbye. Once everybody left, Audra called Victor because she was ready to finally launch her new company. Meanwhile, Sally vented to Audra about Phyllis and how she seemed to thrive on drama. Audra encouraged her to play dirty and not let Phyllis get in the way of her relationship with Billy. Their conversation shifted to Holden, but Audra brushed him off as boring. Phyllis stopped by Billy's place, and they clashed over Daniel. Billy believed Phyllis was manipulating Daniel into joining their company. Phyllis insisted she was being a good mom, refusing to let Daniel fall apart again. Billy challenged her to back off, warning that if she didn't, they were done. Sally walked in mid-fight as Phyllis stormed out. Sally was stunned that Billy had drawn such a hard line. My and our stars, Susan Walters and Lyndon Ashby, celebrate a special milestone. The Young and the Restless stars Susan Walters and Lyndon Ashby are couple goals. The two are one of the soap opera world's famous real-life love stories, and they recently celebrated a special milestone. Walters and Ashby's love story began in 1985 when they met on the set of Loving. It was love at first sight for the pair, who married in 1986. 3 decades later, the couple is still going strong, and this past weekend celebrated their 39th wedding anniversary. To celebrate the special occasion, the couple took a family vacation to Hawaii, which included their daughter Grace and granddaughter Nora. Walters shared photos from the trip, including a sweet tribute to her husband. On Instagram, the actress posted a photo of Ashby heading to the beach to surf. "I am so happy, grateful, and lucky to be on this ride with you. Happy anniversary to the love of my life. 39 #many years many waves." Walters captioned the post. The comment section was filled with congratulatory messages from fans and the couple's I and R co-stars. "Happy anniversary, you lovebirds. What an accomplishment." Beth Maitland wrote, "It's obvious Walters and Ashby are as deeply in love now as they were 39 years ago. When the couple isn't enjoying family time with their daughters and granddaughter, they're working together on TV." Although Ashby wrapped up his latest stint as Cameron on Y and R, the actor loved working alongside his wife. "It is a dream come true," Ashby told Us Weekly in a November 2024 interview. While Cameron has said his goodbyes, Walter's character Diane is still on the soap opera, but who knows when Y&R could bring Ashby back for another round of Cameron's mischief.